you're going to give me a call.
Foreign predatory parasitic corporations are replacing our natural environment with an industrial landscape of wind turbines. One Nation will stand against sending children down a path of drug dependency and body mutilation to appease the gender cult. Leave our kids alone. The Trusted Digital Identity Bill is a global surveillance and control mechanism that profit-hungry corporations and power-mad politicians drafted and crafted. One Nation opposes this inhuman, dystopian future that the United Nations promotes as the Great Reset, and we condemn this Parliament for signing on to it. I call for Australia to reject the World Economic Forum's Great Reset and instead mount a great resist. Just like the koalas being euthanized to make way for wind turbines, or damaged solar panels leaking toxic heavy metals into waterways, the United Nations net zero plan again involves killing the environment to save it. I've been speaking about the fear, the oppression and the inhuman cruelty of our COVID response since July 2020. I promised to hound down those responsible, and I will continue relentlessly to keep that promise. You're about to be live with me, Senator Malcolm Roberts. Hi, this is the weekly wrap-up from the only true Conservative Party, the only true opposition party, the only party serving the Australian people. We normally start with Heroes Gallery, citizens active in democracy. It's going to be the second item today, because the first item is the big news of the day, and that's the former leader of the Liberals, Susan Lee, has been defeated by Angus Taylor 34-17. We used to call them the leader of the opposition, but One Nation is now the true opposition. People are saying it all over the place. Look at the polls. We're the opposition now. Not only has Susan Lee lost her leadership, she will be quitting Parliament entirely, getting out of her seat, getting out of Parliament. This will trigger a fight for her seat of Farrer, a fight which One Nation will absolutely contest. To all our New South Wales followers and supporters, this will be your chance to elect our first lower house representative, the first of many. Actually, our second, because the first is Barnaby Joyce, but he wasn't elected in One Nation, so this will be the first elected into One Nation. What a great way to prove One Nation's growing support is real. Our victory will be a true victory for Conservatives, real Conservatives in our country. Expressions of interest in the Farrer by-election. One Nation has officially called for expressions of interest in being our candidate for Farrer. We aren't looking for career politicians. That is the last thing we want. We're not looking for career politicians. We're looking for a strong, community-minded, local, ready to speak up to Canberra on behalf of the community and residents of Farrer. If you really are ready to serve our country and your community and be part of real change, now is the time to put your hand up. Can I have the print a bit larger, please? Thank you. I follow a teleprompt because there's so much we cover. Sometimes I ad-lib, sometimes I just follow. By the way, I'll copy the link below on how to become a candidate and nomination for anyone interested in applying. Is that picture up there on the screen, Ryan? Mm-hmm. Oh, good. Okay, so they've seen it. We've lost our second monitor, so one day we're going to get this back together and get it right again. We have to say again, a huge welcome to all our new members, a huge welcome. You've grown the party enormously in the last, 6 months. And I must shout out to the people who, for example, today, a guy in a ute, hot ute, lovely sound, plastered with stickers. I was on the phone talking to a constituent in New South Wales. Actually, no, in Queensland, Gold Coast. That's right. And I was talking on the phone, and the next thing I heard, toot toot, and the guy madly saying, wind down the bloody window. And as soon as I wound down the window, he was on my left. He said, I'm going to vote for you, mate. So, it used to be called, we got labels, but now we get support. So thank you so much. People have realized that that Pauline Hanson has not changed a bit. She's been saying the same bloody thing for 30 years, and people are realizing that what she said has always been true and always been real. I'll get back to that later, how they tried to cancel Pauline. 30 years to get over that cancellation. So again, a huge welcome to all of our new members. Many of you have been rescued from your disappointing and sometimes traumatic lifelong relationship with the Liberal Party. We see you, we hear you, we want to serve you. The mainstream media says we're a party of grievance and of protest. Oh, wow. Full of lies. Yes, there are many grievances, though, to protest, thanks to decades of uni-party government making our lives a misery. And I mean that sincerely. I used to vote Liberal, Labor, mostly Liberal, until I woke up around 2007, 2011. That's when I realized that we'd been sold a pup. They pretend to be different, Labor and Liberal, but they're really the uni party, same policies. So there are many grievances to protest after decades of uni party government. Basically, it goes back to the formation of the United Nations in 1944. And since then, they've called the tune, and now bloody Labor Party and Liberal Party have marched to the tune. Not Australia's tune, their tune. So that's why our dreams have been stolen. Our culture has been denigrated. And even our history has been left in ruins. War memorials, statues, buildings desecrated. This government is happy for anarchists to tear Australia down around us. And they're happy to bring in an invasion of people who bloody well hate us. They're bringing in people who hate us and protest. They come here, get the benefits of our country, and then protest against us and threaten to kill us. And One Nation alone is the party of action. Those grievances demand a response. We toppled the Liberal leader and we will topple the government. These are not just words. We have a full suite of policies unveiled more than a year ago, and will soon be unveiling updates and more policies. Our party is the restoration of this great nation. The nation that's currently in managed decline under the Uni Party will be restored under One Nation. Get rid of the chaotic Uni Party and replace it with One Nation stability. Is that meme up there? Josh's meme? Thanks, Ryan. So get rid of the chaotic Uni Party. You know, they talk about the party of chaos being One Nation. One Nation has matured. We are stable. We've had one leader for 30 years. And now the people can see how strong she is and how strong we are. Look at the chaos under the Uni Party. So can you roll that back a bit? Get rid of the chaotic Uni Party and replace it with One Nation stability. Get rid of the Uni Party betraying Australia and replace it with One Nation putting Australia first. Only One Nation puts Australia first. Get rid of the Uni Party's deliberate, managed decline of Australia and replace it with abundance in Australia. We are the world's richest country in terms of resources, whether that be climate, soil, water, and yet we're languishing. We went from having the number one highest per capita income in the world in 1900 to 1920, and now we're languishing, heading for 20. Okay, that's the end of Susan Lee, literally, and as a topic. Now let's get on to Heroes Gallery, Citizens Active in Democracy. I want to call out Sam Kavanagh from Bootstraps. Sam was one of the people who formed Bootstraps. It's a leather working workshop in Gatton, and it does wonderful work. And it brings vets in, gives them a place to actually unwind. Now, you know, women tend to natter a lot with each other, and they're wonderful at sharing feelings and getting things off their chest. Men, not so much. So men need to have confidence. And a lot of Australian men don't go in for counselling. So what happens at Bootstraps is magic. I've seen it. I've watched it. It's beautiful. People come in and they're given the tools and the leather, and they're given some training on how to work leather and how to make things. And then they let their creativity, their imagination run riot. But here's what happens. Oh, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, going back to the time when I visited. And Sam is so dedicated, and all the other volunteers there are so dedicated. Anyway, so two blokes will be sitting down, one been there for several months, maybe years, and the other guy's a new guy, a new veteran, straight into Bootstraps. And they'll be working away, and they'll get talking, you know, where'd you fight? In Vietnam or East Timor or Afghanistan? And then they'll get talking. Next thing, they'll start understanding more about each other. Then they'll want to understand more about each other. And then the new fellow will start unloading, and because he feels safe. And that's the beauty of what Sam Kavanagh's doing and his volunteers are doing there. It's been going for several years now. But what he wants to do is he wants to, he realizes that Australia doesn't make much in the way of saddles and horse riding gear. So he wants to fill that vacuum with Australian-made horse riding gear, or tackle it's called. And so he's looking for a venture partner to provide the cash needed to grow the business. They've got a proper business. They've had a proper financial planner and business planner to help them develop a proper business plan, and they're ready to go. So it's on my social media yesterday. So have a look at it and see if you can get in touch with Sam, the website to explain. Also want to call out Heston Russell as the second hero for today. He gave wonderful service in Afghanistan, and he stood up. He had the fight of his life was again when he came back to Australia and stood up to the ABC telling lies about him. Now, the ABC has been found to be defaming him, and they won't apologize. They will not apologize. So here is a man who fought for our country, fought for our flag, and taxpayers of Australia are funding the ABC to denigrate him, and they haven't got the courage to apologize. Next one. Gee, we're on a defense thread today. Andrew Lamb. I had to put Andrew's name down because Andrew reminds me of myself in some ways, that I went for 9 years as an advocate for this against the climate fraud. It's all self-sponsored, costs incurred by me were paid by me and my wife, all voluntary for 9 years. Andrew Lamb has been working for years to get up a proper process for looking after Defence Forces equipment, because some of the equipment can be fixed. It's dangerous. It can be fixed with just a few minor changes, and he's on a crusade to put in place legislation. I met him, a wonderful man. Met him on Wednesday in a meeting in my office in Canberra during Senate estimates, and he's really working hard, and he's got quite a bit of following behind him, which is great. So we'll support him with his legislation. Another group of heroes, the team I have in my Senate office, the parliamentary team and the enrollment and the electorate officers. Senate estimates can be pretty grueling. That's me and my team, held 40 agencies accountable, 40 agencies in 4 days. And the waste we've exposed when things are tough in Australia, and we've got people sleeping under bridges just here in Brisbane. We've got people sleeping under bridges and in tents and in caravans and in parks and going home to their families in a car to sleep for the night. That's what's happening in Australia. And when times are tough, here's the government. Waste, 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 waste. That's the key word with this Labor government. Waste. Well, no, actually, the key word is dishonesty. Waste is number 2. Dishonesty and waste. But we saw, the stories are just horrific. The money they're wasting. The Australian Research Council just staggered me when we made clips of most of the sessions, or rather the clips come on Hansard. We'll be publishing those clips, and you'll be staggered. Look for the Australian Research Council when we post it. After we lost half our parliamentary advisors because Anthony Albanese took them off our office, Pauline's office, and the other One Nation senators, and just halved it unilaterally, arbitrarily, and also Senator Ralph Babet. All the others were left intact. Now, I also want to call out Barnaby as a hero for the week. Here's why. I asked a question in one of the sessions, one of the agencies, and it was about energy. And Senator Ayres from the Labor Party saw it as an opportunity to denigrate us. And so he went on a tirade about Barnaby, and how Barnaby had originally voted in favour of Snowy 2, and now he's against Snowy 2, and how Barnaby was an opponent of solar and wind, and then he became a supporter of solar and wind, and now he's an opponent of net zero, which involves being an opponent of the transition to solar and wind. And he was going on and on, making out as though Barnaby was some kind of evil dude for doing that. And I just said to him in public, Barnaby admitted he had the strength of character, the integrity, the fortitude to admit he was wrong on solar and wind, wrong on Snowy 2, and so he's changed his tune. And it reminds me of John Maynard Keynes, who says, the famous economist, when the facts change, I change my mind. What do you do, sir? So I said to Barnaby on Wednesday, I had a meeting with Barnaby in his office on Wednesday about something else, about our policies, because he's new to One Nation. And I said, look, Barnaby, I've got to tell you that I said this about you in Senate estimates in reply to Senator Ayres. And he said, good, that's the truth. I made a mistake and I'm wrong. I was wrong. So that's wonderful to hear. So Barnaby liked the fact that I openly said that he changed his mind. Politicians, something about them, that they just don't like to admit usually that they've changed their minds or they made an error. Barnaby was happy with me saying that he'd made an error. So wonderful. And I really admire that. Pauline's the same. Another hero. And I called Donald Trump out last live stream as well, because he did something quite remarkable. Two things I remember. But this time he has yesterday, or actually it came through today from Washington, that Trump has removed Obama's endangerment ruling, where Obama and Biden, who followed Obama, said that carbon dioxide is dangerous. Oh, sorry, only carbon dioxide from human activity is dangerous. Well, it's a load of crap. It's the basis of the whole climate fraud, the whole climate scam. Carbon dioxide is a trace atmospheric gas making up 0.04% of Earth's atmosphere. It's essential for all life on Earth. We are closer, if the level of carbon dioxide goes down to about 150, 0.015, then it's all over for the planet, for life on Earth. Carbon dioxide is essential, and they're calling it a pollutant, and they're calling it endangering civilization. It's just crap. And they also call out Trump. He's a hero because he's suing the BBC. This is a quote from an article in one of the media. Judge Roy Atman, a US district judge, has denied the request from the BBC and set the trial date. Trump is suing the BBC for damages of $19 billion for the Wilkie D. Ferguson Jr. U.S. courthouse in Miami from 15th of February next year. The case relates to an episode of Panorama, BBC program, first broadcast in 2024, which appeared to give the impression that Trump encouraged his followers, to storm the Capitol building in January 6, 2021. We all know that Trump did not. He said to them, make it peaceful. The BBC later acknowledged that it had, listen to this, it had edited two separate parts of Trump's speech together, creating a misleading impression. It has apologized for the edit, which contributed to the departure of Tim Davies, the Director General of the BBC Corporation, and Deborah Furness, the Chief Executive of BBC News. So they spliced together two separate parts of a clip to make it look like he was encouraging the protesters rather than encourage them to just be calm and peaceful. And I'll show you some examples in a minute from the Labor Party. But have a go at this. The Labor outburst clip. Can you put that up, Ryan? Let me know when it's finished. Oh, it's not working? Oh, okay. Well, we'll show it in the future. But basically, she posted a video clip. I think she was confecting rage, trying to get a headline. And she posted her outburst and sent estimates towards me. Oh, it was so strange. Anyway, she posted it, and she got smashed in her comments below it. People coming in saying she was absolutely wrong. People saying that they know who they'd rather believe, me or the TGA, me or the vaccine makers, the big pharma. So she got absolutely smashed. So that's what happens when you do something stupid, Senator Ananda Raja. Minister Watt, this is really serious. We've written a letter of complaint to the President of the Senate. Senator Watt's office, a few weeks ago, spliced together two separate videos, took a bit out of each, spliced them together to twist my words, to misrepresent me. And then he's done it again this week. This time he's twisted it and spliced it from the same video, not from two separate videos. So he's posted partial video out of context to distort and misrepresent me. I mean, lies, distortions, misrepresentations are aspects of control. And always beneath control, there is fear. They are terrified of us. Minister Ayres attacking Barnaby. And I pointed out, as I just said, Barnaby's strength of character meant that he could admit a mistake. So when people talk about someone else, we learn more about the person speaking than the subject they're talking about, the person they're talking about. Somehow it seems like Senator Ayres seems to think that it's weak to change position or it's stupid to change position. When you get new facts, you change position. And that tells you a lot about the Australian Labor Party government today, because they are just hopelessly on a hopeless crusade to put Australia in managed decline. Chris Bowen, the energy minister, he's actually minister for climate change, energy, the environment, and water. What a mouthful. He has said lies after lies after lies about solar and wind being cheap. Climate is changing due to human carbon dioxide. He's got no evidence for either. In fact, both his statements contradict the evidence. People are waking up. Lies are coming out into the open. People are realizing that the uniparty smears are misinformation and disinformation. Calculated, deliberate lies. Coordinated jointly between Liberal and Labor. They put many tags. Here's what they did to try and stop Pauline. They put her in jail wrongly. She was released on appeal. They tagged her as racist, which is the worst thing you can call an Australian woman. And it meant people shut down and were embarrassed about One Nation, and they'd slowly build up, and they'd realize that, hang on, she's talking the truth, and she's not racist at all. And bit by bit, people woke up and they quietly said they'd vote One Nation to their friends. And now people are talking openly about voting for One Nation and proud to vote for One Nation. Then the other thing, so that was done to try and suppress her, and the media got on board, the globalist media got on board to spread the racist tag as a lie. Then they got on, the Liberal and Labor Party in Queensland infiltrated the One Nation branches and decimated the party, cut it up. So that's how they tried to stop her. Why would they want to stop a woman politician from just telling the truth? Because they were terrified of her, because they knew that their lie of Liberal being different from Labor is a lie. And they're really Liberal Labor uniparty, and the opposition is One Nation. Now people can see that. 30 years of conviction from Pauline. My heart reached out to her because she's had 30 years of conviction and strength. As a climate realist, exposing climate fraud, as a volunteer, working as an advocate for restoring the truth on climate and science, I approached many federal politicians, all parties. I didn't persist long with the Greens because I knew they're ideologically sunk. But I got, apart from a few genuine Liberals, every one of the politicians ran away from me, except one red-headed woman. She came to me. She came looking for me because she wanted more evidence on the climate scam. That tells you the mettle. Pauline goes into conflict, goes into a battle rather than running from it. She doesn't like fighting. I can tell you personally, she gets nervous before she has to take on an issue. She gets nervous, just like all of us do. We get nervous in the Senate. But she knows there's one thing worse than running away. One thing worse than actually the anxiety of a battle or a conflict, and that is running away from one. She will never run away from the truth. Labor, Senate estimates. Well, it's long hours. We start generally around about 8, finish at 11, and get home, get about 6 hours sleep, and then back into it again. And sometimes, because we have to be One Nation MPs, we have to cover all aspects of the entire parliament. There are hundreds, thousands of bureaucrats, billions of dollars of money. So what we found is that we're very effective because we're disciplined, we're tight, we work as a team. So Labor has been so sloppy, closed, and inefficient, and it's hiding things, making things difficult, with one exception, making things difficult to keep hiding things in Senate estimates, hiding things from us, from our questions. I've got to compliment the individual chairs of most of the committees, because they're still cooperative, and they're Labor senators. They're still cooperative, respectful to the Senate processes, respectful to the people. They do a bloody good job, actually. In many ways, they're better than some of the Liberal chairs. So thank you to the Labor chairs of the committees and brickbats to the Labor Party itself, the leaders of the party, because they're trying to make it hard. One word comes through in Senate estimates above all others. That's waste. Waste, waste, waste. So many people are doing it tough, and yet the Labor Party is wasting money, hell, west and centre. And the clips are coming, so you'll be able to see for yourself. You'll see us asking questions and getting answers. 40 agencies in 4 days. And I must say thank you to my team, elected officers here in Brisbane, and also to the parliamentary advisors, the personal advisors. Our team prepares questions because we have much less time to get our questions out into the committee than the other parties, because Labor and Liberal usually can get in an hour-long session can get 20 minutes each, and we can only get 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And that's because of the proportional representation. But they give us a fair go, the Labor chairs. But our team, to keep me on track, make sure I don't get branch taken off track, and to keep me focused, and to make sure that we can cover more ground in 10 minutes than the other parties cover in 20 or 30 minutes, we have mostly questions that I read out. We discuss them beforehand, then we change them, and then we read them out. It's long hours for everyone down there, and the team starts preparing, by the way, weeks ahead, and going to their personal time sometimes to do so. So I really appreciate Richard, Hugh, and Sheena down in the office, and Aidan before he moved to Pauline's office when Anthony Albanese sacked him. Okay, let's go into some of the news items for the week, February the 9th to 15th. First thing comes to mind is One Nation's polling. Started the week with huge poll numbers. Australians are ditching the major parties. They don't work in Australia. They've lost interest. Labor continues to harm Australians with net zero and mass migration. That's really mass invasion. And they're really, well, I'll talk more about immigration later on, because that's another topic for the week. Liberals and Nationals are divided and clueless on net zero and mass migration, mass invasion. You know, Liberals and Nationals pulled a Swiftie on everyone, and they got the headline saying that the Liberal Party and the National Party have ditched net zero, scrapped net zero. That's rubbish. They have not scrapped net zero. They maintain the net zero targets. They still want to get to net zero. They've just said it won't be by 2050 or 2030, whichever the case is for various targets. That's what they've done. They've kept the targets, so they're still wanting to go for net zero. They're still wanting to destroy the coal industry, but they would just do it more slowly. That's all. So it's a lie. Now, Australians know exactly where Pauline Hanson stands on the issues, on this matter, and they're looking for leadership. They're not getting from Anthony Albanese or the Liberals. Well, the Liberals will see how long Angus Taylor lasts. Australians know that we put them and their country first. Aussie in life. I can't read that. Oh, that's right. I've already told you it's Aussie Ute. I've already told you the story about the Aussie Ute coming back from the airport today. Our focus has never been on polling, though. I got to say to everyone, our focus is on serving the people. You know, my first speech in the Parliament, it started with the words, "As a servant to the people of Queensland and Australia." And for 4 years, I started every speech, except for the 1-minute speeches and 2-minute speeches, with those words. And the Liberal Party and the Labor Party sniggered, and the Greens laughed. But I kept that going until people knew that I was fair dinkum. Now we start with the key point. Next item of news is Defence Assets Fire Sale. What's the time? I've got a deadline at 4 o'clock. Okay, got plenty of time. Defence Assets Fire Sale. One Nation opposes the sale of the defence assets on the basis that taxpayers are not getting value for money. Some of this is prime real estate in the heart of Sydney Harbour, and it's getting sold for a song. Labor continues to gut Australia's defence force and is selling these assets for a song. And we continued during Senate estimates. When we release the clip, when it's all processed and we post it, the clip of me interviewing the Defence Force about John Armfield and the way they've treated him and his deceased brother. It's just an absolute disgrace. Another way, they're just not looking after the Defence Force members nor the veterans. The next thing, One Nation leader Pauline Hanson has made it absolutely clear that we must get rid of the Labor Greens duopoly. They must get rid of that Labor Greens coalition. You know, in the lower house, the House of Representatives, Labor has a majority. Whatever they put up, they can get through. Okay. Then it comes to the upper house, the House of Review. And Labor and Greens combine with a majority of one. So they can get anything through, providing they're together. So what that means is that the Labor Party says, we'd like to pass this, and the Greens say, well, what are you going to give us? So the actual, and then Labor kowtows to the Greens, and the Greens give them their vote for their legislation. So what it means is that the country is being led by the Greens. They're leading the Labor Party by the nose through the Senate to get the Labor Party's legislation through. So what it means is that the Greens are running this country. The Greens, people who support Palestinian protests, anti-Semitic protests, people who support terrorists who are against Australia. So we make it very clear that we want to get rid of Labor Greens. We don't like what the Liberal Party is up to and what the Nationals are up to, but they're not as bad as Labor Greens. So what we've said is that we will ensure supply. That means give them the money to do their job, whatever the needed in the budget. Once the budget's passed, we will support it. We'll give them support and confidence motions for the Liberals and Nationals. But One Nation stands with the Australian people, not with the Liberals and Nationals. I want to make that very clear. We will not enter a coalition. If One Nation has the numbers to assist the coalition parties to form government, we're prepared to offer confidence and supply, not a coalition. We will not accept ministries or be part of the government. That's very clear. Pauline has made that abundantly clear time and time again. One Nation must stand alone and independently to hold the incoming government, if it's Liberal, to account, and the Labor Party, of course, to account, on behalf of the Australian people. And if we don't like the government's legislation, we just won't support it. That's our history. It's very, very clear. Ever since I've been in One Nation since 2016 in the Senate, I've seen Pauline and myself, I've done it myself, hold the Liberal Party to account. We sometimes say, under Turnbull, where we had the balance of power on some votes, we said to him, we will not pass that ever. Just take it away. And they've taken it away. Then some other legislation, they'll bring it up and we'll say, we'll pass that if you make these changes. And they've made the changes. Or sometimes we'll say to them, well, that's fine. We'll pass it. Sometimes they come to us before they even develop legislation, say, what do you think about this? We say it's crappy. We don't like the look of it. They won't even develop it. So that's how we get our representation in there. We've got less chance of that at the moment because we don't have the balance of power, but at times we do. So another thing that's coming up in the news is the Labor Party and Liberal Party, and to some extent the Greens and the Nationals, are saying One Nation has no policies. That is an absolute lie. Have a look at our energy policy. There'll be a link at the bottom of this page for the full details. It is by far and away the most comprehensive and best and most effective policy of them all. It is the Labor Party and Liberal Party are the ones without policies. If we have no policies, why did the coalition and even Labor and several of the micro parties copy some of our bloody policies of the last election? Why did we set policies and they then echoed the titles of those policies as their policy, but they didn't come up with any details like we did? All our policies, and I'll go through them if there's time later, are fully costed. We know where the money's coming from. We know where it's going. It's going back to you. That's where it's going. So the major parties try to write us off as a protest party with no policies. We have the best policies, and check for yourself. We put them out on the website. Check for yourself. In fact, Australians are writing off the major parties. Okay, I told you I'd get to the other news point of the week, and that's immigration. One Nation has been setting the agenda against mass immigration, mass invasion, as the only party doing what Australians really want, slashing arrivals, do less than departures. We want fewer arrivals than the number of people leaving. When that happens, it'll be net negative migration. The population will actually fall until we catch up with their infrastructure and housing. For example, the numbers are typically, if 220,000 people leave in a year, that's typical, we will let only 130 in, which means 90,000 net departures, 90,000 net migration departures. So our population will fall until we catch up with our infrastructure and housing and transport. More Australians, 34%, trust one nation, according to the polls, to handle immigration, compared to Labor at 16%, Liberals on 13%, and the Nationals on 4%. That's a Redbridge poll. Australians are tired of the major parties ignoring them on mass immigration. Homeless people, in particular, are shouting it out from the streets. People who are renting and being paid and paying exorbitant rents, they're shouting it out. And the Liberal Party and the Labor Party won't listen. They pretend to listen, but each year the migration goes up. The immigration goes up. We must slash immigration to reduce housing demand, relieve pressure on services, schools, hospitals, emergency departments, reduce congestion, and catch up on our housing supply, our infrastructure. There are 5 key words that I want people to remember every time we talk about immigration or mass invasion as it is now. Numbers, the sheer number of people coming into this country. It's out of control. Secondly, the quality of people. It used to be 30, 40 years ago that people were allowed into the country only if they had skills to come into the country, it could immediately go to work and understood English or had a fair commitment to learning English. Now, we're letting people in who come here and add to our welfare recipients. This is completely wrong. We let in people who want to who hate us, hate the Australian and Western way of life. They want the benefits. They like the welfare. Then the third, so that's numbers and quality. The third word is culture. Culture is the most important driver of productivity, of safety, of security in any organization, whether it be football club, a business, corporation, or a country. And they're denigrating our culture, destroying our culture. Fourth word, so we've got numbers, quality, culture, in integration. Now, what we mean by integration is people come here, comply with our laws, fit into our culture, and work in harmony with us, adopt our values. What we've been told since Bob Hawke, and John Howard was a major culprit in pushing this, his government, was that no, we don't want to be monoculture anymore. We want to be multicultural. So keep your identity, keep your culture, and we don't say drop it. We say number one is Australia. If you want to look after your ethnicity or your nationhood, to be proud of it, your background, fine, that's fine. But you must integrate laws, values, and culture into Australia, not this multicultural crap. It's driven by the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, to divide the country, separate the country. So they're the first 4 words: numbers, quality, culture, integration. And the last one is arguably the most important, and that's identity. Maintain the Australian identity, the Australian way of life. And that's extremely important. So this is not about skin color. It's not about religion. It's about identity as Australians. Now, federal policies, you'll see the link on this live stream. The media and our opponents are using an old line against One Nation, which is we have no policies. Now, I spent 4 years in the lead up to the 2025 election with Senator Hanson to produce a set of policies that powered our success in the 2025 federal election. It doubled the number of representatives we have in the Senate. These policies are on our website. They've been there all along, but many of the policies were introduced in January, February last year. So we've had policies all the way along, but we had some really, really smart policies, smartened up, upgraded in over 12 months ago. They're on our website. So anyone saying we do not have policies is really saying they're blind or they can't read or they're telling lies. Our policies are fully costed, very professionally done. The costings are taken from the Parliamentary Budget Office, costings, or they're taken as from line items in the budget. So policies are also, I haven't seen anything like it. They're marvelous. There's a complete suite of four sets of policies. The first set of policies is putting more money back in your pocket. The government has no money. It is taxpayer money, not government money. Our policies will put $40 billion of your money back in your pocket, cutting many, many taxes, halving petrol excise, diesel excise, putting in place the income splitting for families. There's so many there. Just have a look on our website. giving your own money back to you and stop the government taking your money. We will pay for that we will pay for those tax cuts that put more money back in your pocket by shrinking the government to fit the Constitution. There is so much waste in the Liberal Labor Uni-Party governments. For example, we will shut down the Department of Climate Change and all of the regulations and rules and restrictions and garbage that go with it. That alone will save $30 billion a year directly, $30 billion. So we'll take it back off those parasites, and the details are in the policy on energy. We'll take it back off those parasites and hand it back to you. And so that's what we mean by shrinking the government to fit the Constitution. We'll return education and some of the hospital functions, some of the health functions to the states. These will create a better outcome. So there are two aspects. We're talking about cutting $90 billion at least. Our cost estimates are conservative, and that'll be more than that saved. But that's the direct benefit. That's where we get the money to fund the other things which I'm about to talk about. But the indirect benefits are the huge improvements in efficiency when you get the bloody bureaucrats out of the way. So shrink the government to fit the Constitution, returning education, some health functions to the states, creating a better outcome, frontline delivery while saving money from waste through reduced layers of bureaucracy. We will close down the entire climate change boondoggle, as I said, abolish the Department of Climate Change and all related agencies, regulations, programs, close the Federal Department of Aboriginal Affairs. Funding will be sent directly to local authorities, ensuring the much smaller spend will get into the hands of the people in the communities who need it, and giving the National Audit Office a chance to actually spend to make sure we're getting value for money. The government completely ignores and just says no to our request to have an audit of the spending on Aboriginal and Indigenous affairs. It's disgraceful. And the money is getting hived off to parasites in between that doesn't get to the communities. It doesn't get to the Aboriginal people on the ground. It goes to parasites like the consultants, the academics, the activists, the bureaucrats, the agencies that hang off all of this. There's billions of dollars. I think it's about $15 billion saved there. And that's not counting the state expenditure. So that's $90 billion plus in savings, $40 billion of that handed back to you, put more money in your pocket. What happens to the other 50? We'll take 30 of that to pay off the national debt faster, and the other 20 left is for an infrastructure program. So, if we don't pay off the debt, then our interest expenditure will be the single largest line item on the budget, except for maybe NDIS. It's growing so quickly. But that's what we need to do, pay down our debt to reduce our interest and to get rid of the debt. That can be done. And we want to invest $20 billion in an infrastructure program to expand our economy, expand job opportunities, and reduce abundance for all. Put more money in your children's future pockets. There are projects that we're sponsoring, like Capricorn Steel, but that's self-funded. But we need the infrastructure to do part of that. But that'll be funded by the proponents of the project and the participants in the project. Capricorn Steel, making steel on both coasts of Australia, connecting the iron ore with the coal. Port of Gladstone, that's a privately funded organisation already doing that, wanting to spend $8 billion. We'll spend money on dams and a national rail loop. It doesn't need much work to get a national rail loop. Infrastructure is the quickest and most efficient way to increase productivity. And the higher productivity means higher prosperity, higher standard of living, and lower cost of living. Higher real wages without inflation. When it comes from productivity, it doesn't lead to inflation. It can be done. It's been done many times around the world. Have a look at Argentina right now. He's taken a chainsaw to some of the government spending. It can be done just as it was done for generations in our beautiful country. It's been done before here. In 1900 to 1920, Australia had the world's highest per capita income. We built massive infrastructure in the 1920s, 1930s. Look at the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Every time I run over it or I drive over it, I'm amazed. In 1923, they started work on that bridge. 1923 in the Depression. And they continued through the Depression, and they opened it in 1932. Way back then. And it's just amazing. what's even more amazing than the design is the vision that people could foresee the road traffic that would come. And so 8 lanes of traffic on that bridge, built basically from 1923 to 1932. 2 rail lines, one pedestrian and one cycle pathway. Amazing. Talking about good news, let's talk about our Lower House MP, Barnaby Joyce, who has been on a campaign to save the local pub. Politicians would like to talk about their concern over the cost of living crisis and cost of quality of and loss of our quality of life. But do they actually do anything about it? Do they even know what it means? Well, the working and middle classes of Australia can no longer enjoy the simple pleasure of clocking off work to go for a drink at the pub on the way home. I hear it all the time from young workers in their early 20s. They can't even take their partners out for a date when a couple of beers and dinner can set you back $100. That's easy to do these days. So what we want to do is abolish the excise on beer and spirits served in hospitality venues like restaurants, clubs, pubs. Keep going on. Now, we came up with this policy for the federal election. And it's a genuine policy that will improve the social fabric of our society. Social fabric of our society is being destroyed solely thanks to government greed over the excise tax. It's stopping communities having get-togethers. It's just destroying the social fabric. The really important thing is when you're at a pub drinking, rather than at home alone binge drinking, when you're at a pub drinking, mates can tell you, hey, that's enough, mate. When an everyday Australian can't afford a couple of drinks at the pub, something has gone wrong. And it's the fact that the Uni Party, Liberal Labor, are looking after themselves and their globalist mates rather than the community, rather than their country. When no one can afford to go to the pub, those heritage pubs, community hubs, they collapse too. We've seen this in the UK, the home of pub culture, where Nigel Farage is on a desperate mission to save pubs from Labor's taxes. I'll just take a minute off there. Trump, Farage, and Hanson are all very similar in that they're back to basic. They call things as they see it. That's what the commonality is. And they're both up against the red and blue, whether it be Republicans and Democrats, whether it be Nationals and Labor in New Zealand, whether it be Liberals and Labor in this country, or the Liberals and the Conservatives in Canada, or the Tories and the Labor Party in Britain. They're just a club looking after themselves. And along come the disruptors, Farage in England, Trump in America, and Hanson in Australia, and they're upsetting the apple cart. And the Uni Party doesn't like it. One of the oldest pubs in Britain, 570 years old, wow, that's old, has been forced to close. It has survived since 1451 in the time of Henry VI, but it can't survive Keir Starmer from the Labor Party. A quarter of pubs have closed since 2000. Another 1,086 will close this year. This is the United Kingdom we're talking about. We don't know how many Australian pubs will close because Australia doesn't want to even talk about the issue. Young people are experiencing a loneliness epidemic in Australia, and all the government can do is tax their beer, tax their social gatherings, rip it off with road tolls and petrol excise that never existed before, keep them home and isolated. And that's what they did in the COVID mismanagement, the COVID fraud. They told everyone that they were alone, that they are the only ones who thought that way, and then people were afraid to stand up. One Nation will abolish the excise tax on alcohol served at venues, hospitality venues, pubs, clubs, restaurants. And you can save your night on Friday night drinks and keep your communities alive. We will halve the excise on petrol, taking inflationary pressure out of the entire economy, putting more money back in your pocket while taking inflation out of the economy, because transport affects every single thing you buy in this country, even services. Transport is a significant cost in everything, and it cascades throughout the economy. It multiplies. So when you cut the excise on petrol and diesel, you're taking inflationary pressure off the economy and you're putting more money in people's pockets. Then we've seen the Labor Party having a $30 billion cost blowout. We've seen this is money management. This is waste. The government knows where every cent you or your business created is meant to go. If the money is going to the government, going to the treasury, they pursue it down to the cent. But when it comes to spending that money, well, we've got budget blowouts up to $30 billion. $48 billion correction within 6 months of delivering the budget. 6 months, and they come up with $48 billion error. They want to know where every cent you earn goes, and they want their share of it. But they don't want you to know what they're spending it on. Billions allegedly going walkabout in Victoria. Widespread fraud and misuse of public money because they lack accountability. They don't count public spending in cents, they count it in billions. I was going to talk about energy. I might leave that till next week. We've only got about 10 minutes left, and I must leave it at 4, and so must Ryan. So let's go to Q&A, Ryan. We've lost our second monitor, so Ryan will just have to yell out the questions.
From Bernadette G. Have an inquiry into the COVID vaccine deaths.
We have been pushing. Thank you, Bernard, for that question. We've been pushing relentlessly for a royal commission. By the way, we had an inquiry in 2022, I think. I organised the first inquiry possibly in the world. It was we invited people from other parties, cross-party, multi-party inquiry held in our office here in Brisbane. That's the only way we could get one up. The Senate was completely closed to it, having an inquiry. And we got some of the world's experts, some of the victims. Then we had another inquiry, second inquiry, and then we had the third inquiry, all organised, led in our office with cross-party, multi-party members on the committee. And they were fantastic. But we want a fair dinkum royal commission. The Labor Party, when it was in opposition to Scott Morrison, chaired a conference, chaired an inquiry into coming up with a royal commission, and they recommended a royal commission. Then when they got into government a few months later, they said, no royal commission. We will work relentlessly. Every Senate estimate session since 2020, I think I'll be correct in saying that I chased two things. One is the topic of COVID, and I'm relentlessly chasing them now because you were right, Bernard. There were 30,000 people at least killed by COVID injections. There is no doubt in my mind at all. There is no doubt in the statistics. 30,000 people killed, homicides. And the other thing is that Australia's largest wage theft case, $1.3 billion ripped off coal miners in Central Queensland and Hunter Valley. We've been asking questions at every cent estimates on that as well. So we don't let go. We'll keep going until we get a royal commission. Next question.
From the Unboiled Frog, Groom Branch meeting this Sunday at 12.
Groom Branch. I hope he's talking about the One Nation Party. So that's Groom. It's the Groom electorate branch, which is based on Toowoomba and the Downs. What was that again? This Sunday at 12 noon. Thanks, mate. And thanks for what you're doing for One Nation and the country.
From Cheryl Pike, promote the repeal of new gun laws. This has got a lot offside.
Yes, and the way it was done has got a lot offside too. You know, the Labor Party lied again. They said that they consulted the gun lobbyists, the gun clubs, and they did not. They did not. They rushed that bill through based upon an inquiry. I think it was a joint inquiry, and then they changed the bill, and they didn't have an inquiry on the changed bill. So it was a scam. This Albanese Labor government is completely dishonest, completely incompetent, completely deceitful, and it has enormous waste. But we will fight to get the repeal of that guns. Any more questions, Ryan?
J. Johnson, racist party. You are hate everyone that is different in any way.
We value differences. I was raised in valuing differences. I was born and raised, had my formative years in India. I mixed with Sikhs, Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, atheists, agnostics. I mixed with them. I mixed with all skin colors. I value people of all differences. So tarring us as racist is just a lie. It is just a lie. Give me one quote from Pauline Hanson that indicates she has ever said a racist comment. She, in fact, is an anti-racist because she wants equality of opportunity, equality of services, equality of welfare based upon need, not skin color, not race. That is the opposite of racist. She's the only one not racist. So I just laugh at what you're saying, mate. Oh, and by the way, we've got Indians and Asians and Muslims in our party, so they disagree with you too.
From Adelson 9776, Australia first, foremost, front and center.
Spot on, exactly. That's it. Australia first, and we've got to stop looking after the globalists and pandering to them. The United Nations, the World Economic Forum, the UN World Health Organization. Stop pandering to them and look after our people. Queensland alone, the state I represent, could be the richest state in the world. The energy resources, the coal resources, the gas resources, the metal resources, the soil resources, the water resources, the climate we have. We can grow anything. We should be the manufacturing powerhouse. We want to make the Moranbah area, the central Queensland area, a hub for logistics in terms of Gladstone and logistics, and steel mills at Moranbah, steel mill Abbott Point, boost the port at Abbott Point, boost the port at Townsville, improve the rail infrastructure, turn this state into a dynamo. We have got enormous potential. We should be so much wealthier than we are. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great weekend. And I'll just tell you where I'm going to be this weekend. I forgot to mention that. I'll be in Tamworth for a New England branch meeting on Saturday afternoon, and then a fundraising dinner with Barnaby Joyce Saturday evening. Sunday, I'll be listening to people in New England electorate, and then flying to Canberra for the Greens Labor Misinformation and Disinformation Inquiry, which will be on Monday and Tuesday, the Misinformation and Disinformation Inquiry. That is clearly what their agenda is, to bulldoze this through. They're doing it in a very biased way, unhanded, dishonest way. But it's officially called the Inquiry into Information Integrity in Climate and Energy. I mean, it's just laughable. It's so biased the way it's run. It's openly biased. We're exposing that bias. Then Adelaide on Friday the 20th for a function with young people. And function on Saturday, I think, Saturday the 21st is the launch in Adelaide is the launch of the South Australian One Nation campaign for the state election in March. I think that's March 14th. But come along and catch up. So that's the weekly wrap-up from the only opposition party in Australia, the Sensible Party, the only party listening to and serving the Australian people. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. And have we got a video this weekend? Okay, so I was going to leave you with the video. Oh, that's right. The video is not working. We'll do it in future. Have a great weekend.